So, control of the House of Representatives. That's one of the big questions going into tomorrow night. Believe it or not, New York and California could have a big say in which party ends up in the majority. Now, Mike Viqueira has years of experience covering Capitol Hill. He's now NewsNation's Washington bureau chief and joins us now. Welcome, Mike. So, New York, blue states, obviously. Let me go through the race. I have three toss-ups in New York. There are others we're watching, but here's three toss-ups in New York that'll be interesting tomorrow night. New York 4, which, full disclosure, happens to be my district on Long Island, Nassau County, is a Biden plus 15 district, 14.5. And the incumbent there is Diaz-Pizzuto, but the Democrats think Laura Gillen should win in the presidential year. We'll see. Lower Hudson Valley, New York 17, whether Mike Lawler can hang on there. That's an interesting race. His opponent's a former member of Congress. And then Central New York, New York 22, and the Syracuse area, you got a Republican trying to hang on there as well, as you look at the overall forecast from DDHQ. And there's the New York 22. So talk about New York, the New York suburbs, and what we should be watching tomorrow night.
Well, it's fascinating because, the majority that Republicans hold in the House of Representatives right now is, I think right now stands at 3 votes. It's very slim, to say the least. And the one thing you got to keep in mind here, Connell, is that of the 435 members of the House of Representatives, the 435 seats, almost 400 of those elections, and they do stand for election every 2 years, every election cycle, almost 400 of them are not even competitive. So about 10%, let's say 40 of these races will really determine who holds the majority. And let's just stop for a second and say, why do I care? Why does it matter who's running the House of Representatives? Because the House is a majoritarian institution, nerds like me like to say. In other words, the majority runs everything. The majority sets the agenda. The minority basically sits there and takes it in the neck every single time. So the new president's agenda will run through the House or will be blocked by the House. And that's why we're looking at these races. It's fascinating. There are 19 seats, including many of the ones that you mentioned in New York State, that were won by Joe Biden. Those districts were won by Joe Biden, and that's what Democrats are targeting, won by Joe Biden, represented by Republicans, and that's what Democrats are targeting, trying to flip those seats blue where they think they belong, Connell.
Yeah, there's a bunch of one out in California, too. You obviously another big state, big blue state when you're going winner take all, but when you go district by district, again, blue districts that Biden won, was starting California 13 and put up 3 of these races as well. So California 13 is like the Central Valley, Modesto, Merced. Biden won it by 11, so Republican is trying to defend a seat there. 27 is our second one. California 27 is Los Angeles County. Biden won in the district by 12. This guy, Mike Garcia, been described as a resilient Republican. We'll see if that holds, right? And then Orange County, right, that used to be the Republican kind of stronghold, such as it was in California, but Biden won this district by 6. So Michelle Steele there may be in trouble if Harris does well, right?
Right, and so the polling, as you indicate, in California would point towards a Democratic advantage in some of those contested districts, but also north in the Central Valley there, an incumbent Republican named David Valadao is running, and he's running fairly well. And what's important to remember here, and what's important nationwide when you look at some of these races, is the question is, how do they reflect on the national mood? How does it reflect on the presidential race and the Senate races? Some of the races, other races that we're going to be looking at, Latinos in the Central Valley of California. How are they going to be breaking? They're going to be supporting the Republican there. That could have implications for the national race for president as well. And then you can come all the way down south from the Central Valley, sort of a crescent, and you look at some of these competitive districts. You mentioned the one in Orange County there, California, just south of Los Angeles, all the way down near San Diego. Ken Calvert, who's been a member of Congress since I was covering Congress. I started covering the House of Representatives in 1998. I believe he was there. He has survived time after time after time in California. He's got a race on his hands, too. So New York and California, these blue states, but in districts that are largely won by Joe Biden in 2020, held by Republicans in the House, those are the ones being targeted. The 19 of those by Democrats, and they hope to win back the majority and make Hakeem Jeffries of New York the Speaker of the House.
The Speaker, right? Yeah, that's what they're watching here in New York and also out west. So it'll be an interesting night tomorrow night. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.